Hi, my name's Greg from Blandford Studios, and today I'm going to show you Focal 2 Pro and the test release. So I downloaded that this week, and I'm going to do a quick run through. I connected to my D750, I've got my 50mm connected, and I'm going to run through a quick fully auto test on there, and I'm going to see how that differs from the previous release that I had, which was 1.9.10, I think. One of the new features in here is that you can actually look back at your history of tests. So you can see here that I've got my D750 and all the lenses that I've tested, and it'll tell me when I actually tested them, so about 150 days ago by the looks of it, and what the result was and how good the result was or not. So that'll give me a good idea of when I need to test again. So all my lenses here look like it was about 150 days ago, so definitely worth me running through another set of tests with all my lenses to make sure they're all spot on. So of course the first thing I always do is run a quick target setup, make sure that's all in the right place. So I normally hit target search, I get a nice green tick there, which is good. If you do want to mess around, you can show the focus controls, and that'll zoom in and show you that actually that looks pretty sharp already, doesn't it? I can run the Focal Autofocus, which is actually really cool. Rather than use the phase detect or the camera's contrast detect, it actually uses its own algorithm, which is a little bit slower than the contrast detect of the camera, but is actually more accurate. So if you want to make sure the focus is absolutely spot on, then the Focal Autofocus is the one to choose. You can actually tweak the focus a little bit as well here with doing the far and near. That'll just move the lens further away and closer, basically. Again, if you've already done the focus test, then you don't need to do that really. It's just there for completeness. That was in the existing version of Focal. There wasn't really much change there. So now I'm going to run through a automatic calibration. Now, one of the really cool things about Focal 2 is that this computer will speak to me and tell me what the fine-tune value adjustments should be. So if I've got my computer and my camera set up in a room and my camera's a little bit away from the computer, then Focal will actually speak out loud what the fine-tune value is. So each time it changes, so -20, +10, those values, then rather than have to be looking at the screen and see what those are, then I just listen and it'll tell me what to change. Once I've done that, I can then use the hotkey, which on a lot of cameras is
set the AF fine tune to -20.
The AF lock button. So I then hold that down and it tells me it's continuing, and then it just keeps taking the picture. So I can literally just sort of stand by the camera making the changes while the test's running, and then at the end of that it'll then say, you know, check the computer, and that's what I do, and then I'll know the right value to put in there for my Nikons. One thing I have noticed with this release is that the testing seems quicker, so it seems to have to take less shots to get the right value. Another really cool thing is this typical performance. So is my 50mm lens as good as everyone else's? Is it better or is it worse? Well, Focal will now tell me. So I can see here it's saying that my data fits very well with typical data from other users. It'll tell me how the consistency of the focus is compared to other versions of camera and lens combination. So that's pretty handy. So it gives you that confidence that your camera's performing, you know, as the manufacturer designed, really. Now we're getting a slightly different value there of +0. You know, the difference in sharpness there isn't very much, and you'd expect that from +2. So that's a good test to run, because that means that it's tweaked my value ever so slightly, but it has changed that little bit in those 150 days. So definitely worth running. It gives me that confidence again that everything's spot on, and that my results are as I want. Now I can see the results here are finished. It's given me a really good, excellent fit. So I've got a good degree of confidence that the result is correct. And then if I scroll down, I can see how my various percentages measure up against the typical values that are in the Focal database. So one of the great things about Focal is that the more times you run your tests, the more data is put into Focal. So that really helps when it comes to getting those confidence in your lenses and that your camera's performing in a brilliant way. So I can see the typical range of the lens and what the AF Micro Adjust fine-tune values are for other users, and I can see that mine's sort of smack bang in the middle there. So that means I'm not really too concerned that I might have to send this lens off for service. So absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to use it on some more of my cameras and lenses, and I'll get back to you with more results. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.